Welcome to the Post-Victory Formation Podcast. Tune in every Wednesday to hear us talk about this week's top NFL news and our games of the week.
All right, guys, welcome to another week of the Post-Victory Formation Podcast. I'm Kyle, got Mike on the other end, and we have decided to go with some video coverage this week. Against my best wishes, because I know you guys don't want to look at my ugly mug, but here we are nonetheless. You've got Mike decked out in his Green Bay Packers gear. You've got me, I'm dressed up like a normal person. So, we'll get into this week's pod, and big week in the NFL, Mike. We had a lot of shakeups. We had contracts being signed. We had a lot of players franchise tag, others being notified their release. What do you want to start with?
Kyle, the QB situation, with people getting signed to pretty massive contracts here. We had Derek Carr getting signed to a 4-year, $150 million deal. And then we had Danny Dimes getting signed to a 4-year, $160 million deal. They're not the best quarterbacks.
Mike, you got one more contract.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You've got the contract I'm happiest about. Geno Smith, 3 years, $105 million, with pending that he meets his incentives. So, yeah, those were the three big ones of the week.
So that brings me to the bigger thing. Derek Carr isn't the greatest. Danny Dimes isn't the greatest. Geno Smith, I think, did better last year through adversity and everything else to shine. Derek Carr has arguably some of the best players on any NFL team, and he couldn't do anything with it. Why did he get a $150 million 4-year contract? Why did Danny Dimes get a $160 million contract? Now they're some of the highest paid quarterbacks. It's changing the league's, quarterback pay for the worst, I think. Well, now you're looking at Pat Mahomes, you signed a 10-year, $500 million contract. Yeah, you're still getting highest paid, but why is a Derek Carr coming in almost to you?
Well, I think there's two things. And one of the things I imagine we'll get into later, I mean, this could be referenced a lot during the pod this week, is the Deshaun Watson 5-year, $250 million.
Oh, yeah.
A fully guaranteed deal. And I think that really changed the landscape of the quarterback market and what quarterbacks expect to be paid. And I think it's kind of, I don't want to be rude, but let's put it this way, Mike. Deshaun Watson hadn't played football in 2 years, and he gets that kind of money, and he has not played well. So I think you look at some of these quarterbacks and the money that they're demanding and the money that they're pulling, it's like, hey, I'm better than that guy, and he's getting paid that much. So I think it's kind of shifted the landscape a little bit. I also think that's why, well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I think that's why Lamar has not made a deal with the Ravens yet. It's just for that reason alone. But I think teams know that this league, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a shot at the playoffs. And I think that's teams being self-aware and knowing, hey, we've got a guy in Daniel Jones who he had a nice year, really elevated his level of play, and the Giants had no other choice really but to sign him. And especially, they couldn't use the tag on him, or they couldn't use the tag on both him and Saquon. So they decided, hey, Danny showed enough this year to warrant rolling him out again for the next couple of years. So let's roll him out. And then that way that enables us to franchise Saquon and try to work another deal with him. So I think it's teams having the awareness of knowing that the quarterback market is only going to get more expensive. And I think it's, you look at these teams now, like you said, Pat Mahomes deal is looking more and more like a bargain. And I think teams are seeing that and trying to sign these players to deals now while prices aren't astronomical.
And rolling on that, so I have to bring it up. Aaron Rodgers, let's go. If he leaves, the Packers, I'm pretty sure, will take off almost a $40 million hit. Why would they not try harder to keep them? And I know everybody keeps saying, oh, we're going to roll out Jordan Love. What do you think's going to happen there?
You're not going to like what I'm about to tell you, Mike, but there's a article today. Packers are shopping Alan Lazard. And if they're shopping Alan Lazard and Rodgers have a chemistry together. You know, Rodgers was really Lazard was the last quarterback that was the last wide receiver that he elevated his gameplay. Like Alan Lazard would not have the type of demand that he has now on the open market if it weren't for Aaron Rodgers. And that just kind of tells me that the Packers kind of see the writing on the wall that Rodgers is leaving. I think they're going to shop Lazard, and I think they're going to start to rebuild this thing. And I heard another little tidbit. I'm not sure if you saw the article today, but it was about 4:00 this afternoon. An article came out that Aaron Rodgers has secured an apartment in Upper Manhattan. So I think
this
the writing,
is not 99s, by the way.
I think the writing's on the wall that he might be done in Green Bay.
Yeah, well, fuck Manhattan. Aaron Rodgers is staying in Green Bay.
Mike, that's your idealistic thinking. I don't think it's realistic, though. I think he's gone. But I want to circle back on one thing with this quarterback talk. The Geno Smith deal is essentially 3 years, $105 million. This was a team that was projected to be the worst in the league last year, and they make the playoffs. And I like the deal because when you look at it, the 3-year, $105 million deal is more the 2-year, $40 million contract. So he's getting 20 a year. That's his base. His contract is laced with incentives where if he plays like he did last year, then it really becomes a 3-year, $105 million contract. But Geno bet on himself that he's going to maintain this level of play. And at the same time, it kind of gives the Seahawks a safety net in case he doesn't. But what I really like about it is it gives the Seahawks the option to draft a quarterback and let him sit behind Geno. And I think that might be what Pete Carroll's long-term play is at this point. So, keep an eye on that. I'm happy for Geno. I'm happy for the Seahawks. I think that contract, of the 3 contracts that were signed this week, I think the Seahawks by far were the biggest winners.
Oh yeah, the Seahawks were the biggest winners. But
you can make an argument for Derek Carr just for the division that he's going into in the NFC South.
No, you can't.
You don't think so?
No, he's a fucking weenie.
Well,
how do you go from having the God's gift to wide receiver and running back and everything else and to going to a bum team?
Well, the
coach.
One problem with the Raiders, Mike, if you think about it, when was the last time they had a legitimate defense? I mean, when you're always playing from behind, if you're Derek Carr, it doesn't matter who you have, in the backfield. I mean, Josh Jacobs, fabulous running back. Love him. Problem is you can't utilize him when you're down, 24-7 middle of the third quarter. You got to start slinging the rock. And
he doesn't know how to do that.
I look at Derek Carr kind of like at Matthew Stafford's tenure at the Lions. And the Saints are a legitimate organization. Now, granted, they're in the midst of a rebuild themselves, but this is where the rubber meets the road for Derek Carr. We're going to see how good of a quarterback he is as the team kind of builds up around him and brings in talent. And we'll see if he is in fact a bum like you think he is. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he can play at a high level. So we'll just have to see how that one plays out.
I thought he was good until what happened last year when what's their backup starts with an S. Their backup quarterback, the Raiders.
Oh shoot, I am not hip.
But he had
on the Raiders roster.
He ended up coming in and doing justice for the team, and then made Derek Carr look terrible. Like Devontae Adams put up the best numbers he had almost put up all year with their backup, and then there's Derek Carr. And I just don't understand. Like, he's going to go from that wide receiver core, Hunter, Renfro, having all those options, Darren Waller, stuff like that, to what a broken Michael Thomas that hasn't played in 2 years?
Like I said, Mike, this is a rebuilding team he's going to, but it's going to be a team that's catered to his skill set. And I think they're going to put him in the best opportunity to succeed. And I think it's a slam dunk for the Saints personally. I mean, they're automatically the favorites now to win the NFC South in my mind.
So do they cut Jameis Winston? Because if they cut him before June 1st, that would save him $12.8 million. Do they do that?
Yeah, because Jameis wasn't brought in with the current regime that's there. That was a Sean Payton guy. So, yeah, I think Jameis is gone. I think Andy Dalton is gone.
Now, does Sean Payton pick him up for the Broncos as a backup?
I can see Jameis going as a backup because when you think of peak Russell Wilson, how he could pass in the pocket, but he could also scramble. Jameis is essentially, he's a more raw, I mean, he's been in the league a while, but he's a more raw version of Russ. And his passing game got better, especially post LASIK. He looked like a functioning quarterback in New Orleans before he got injured. So, yeah, I don't think Jameis going to the Broncos is out of the realm of possibility because I don't see another team picking him up to be a starter. And as for Andy Dalton, he'll land on his feet somewhere as a backup. I mean, he'll get you through 2 or 3 games while your quarterback's out with a concussion or whatever. So
out of the 3 quarterbacks, the big ones that got signed, big playoff push, you got to win the last 2 games. Who you taking?
Now, am I speaking just from a strictly a quarterback standpoint, or am I going with the entire roster?
Quarterback standpoint.
That's tough. It would be... I could make an argument for all 3, honestly. I'll
make an argument against you, I feel like.
All right, you know what? You go first. Who would you take out of the 3? How about this? I will tell you the third place guy on that list for me is Daniel Jones.
See, I was taking Danny Dimes for number 1.
Okay, why do you
had a broken team? 1? He had a hopeful Saquon Barkley, new coach, everything, skill level, rushing touchdowns, passing touchdowns, decently clutch moments. He was making it work with nobody. I'm taking Danny. He's going to push his team, elevate him. Last 2 games, he's going to give me the playoff push. My last person is Derek Carr.
Okay, so we both agree that Geno would be number 2.
Yeah.
My problem with Daniel Jones is I agree with you that he elevated that team last year. What my concern, if you give him some weapons, I don't know if he starts to overthink things and maybe gets a little careless with the ball, like we had seen him do in prior years. I don't know. I need to see it with Daniel Jones with a legitimate roster to bet the farm on him that, yep, I got 2 games. I need to make a playoff push. Let's roll out Daniel Jones.
So you're taking Weenie Hut Central.
I'm going to take Derek Carr. I just think that Derek he's always had to play from behind. The Raiders honestly have never been very good during his tenure. They go to the playoffs, they get bounced, usually because the defense puts up infinity points, or allows infinity points. So yeah, give me Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what happens with him in the Raiders organization, because old Bull Cut is not the answer of an owner either.
Well, he's not going anywhere. But
No,
yeah, you don't have to worry about him in the Raiders anymore because he's gone. So,
well,
no, I want to lead this into our next topic, and it's arguably the biggest topic of the week, and that's Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
As we discussed a few weeks ago, Lamar Jackson was going to get franchise tag. And he's now on a non-exclusive franchise tag, meaning another team can offer a contract and Baltimore has the chance to match that.
Yes.
Now, he's not playing under the franchise tag. Would you agree with that, Mike?
No.
You don't think he is, or you think he will play under the franchise tag?
He's going to play underneath the franchise tag because everybody's seeing, okay, the Falcons don't want him. Let's see, who else? The Raiders don't want him. The Falcons don't want him. I think it was the Jets said they don't want him. All these...
And those are some of these teams that need quarterbacks.
Yeah, all these bum teams, and not just need quarterbacks, have the cap space to pay Lamar Jackson. That would be a huge, key player to build your franchise around from what we've seen with the Ravens. I think he's starting to look in the picture like, oh, I can't pull Le'Veon Bell right now because even the 5 most sorry teams in the NFL, the Panthers are another one that said they didn't want him. You have no quarterback. Desmond Ridder is your quarterback right now for the Falcons. The Jets, Zach Wilson, hopefully going to get Aaron Rodgers, which isn't going to happen. Go 12. But you have all these teams that just, we don't want them. Those are the only teams that can afford them.
Yeah, and I think Lamar's going to get a sober taste of reality about what the league thinks of him, and I don't see a team out there that's willing to offer the kind of money that he's demanding. Now, I think there'll be teams that they'll throw him a ball and they'll pitch a contract to him, but I think it's not going to be anything better than what Baltimore has already offered him.
Kyle, did I just change your mind?
No, you didn't. I think he'll sit. He'll pull Le'Veon Bell. I guarantee it. He might not get signed, but there is not a chance that he plays under the franchise tag. So I want to roll this into another topic. There's actually an article that was released today. Chris Burke, betting.com, I believe. Las Vegas odds for Lamar Jackson. I've got 6 teams. These are the top 5 odds. top 4 odds, really, because there's a couple ties in here. So, Mike, I'm going to list off these teams. I'll go from the 6th. There's 6 teams. I'll go from 6 to number 1.
Hit me.
Like I said, there's a couple teams in here, and I want you to see if you can make a justification for these teams. So we got 2 teams tied at 7 to 1 odds for picking up Lamar Jackson. You've got the Titans and you've got the Patriots, both 7 to 1.
So
See Lamar being a fit at either one of those places.
no, Bill Belichick wouldn't want somebody like that. We know from how he's been doing everything. He tried a Cam Newton. He tried the scrambler. He get the passer. No, he wants a pocket passer. He wants a Mac Jones.
Rumors are that they want to trade Mac Jones. There's been some rumblings of Mac Jones to the Raiders.
They're not going to. Bill Belichick's going to try to shape him up one more. He likes slow, little chunky before they date a supermodel quarterback that's going to sit in the pocket, and they're going to do his thing. Titans, I saw a report like 2 or 3 weeks ago that said they're going to stick behind Ryan Tannehill. So I don't see him going to either of those 2 teams. It's not the scheme that they go with. Vrabel doesn't want that. I'm passing on both of those. What do you got next?
All right, so we got 2 teams tied at 5 to 1, so this would technically be 3rd and 4th on the list. You've got the Colts and you've got the Jets, both 5 to 1 right now. Colts are desperate for a quarterback, which is why I think they're high on this list.
I don't see an argument for the Jets. High on the list. I think they're a big fit.
Yeah,
Jets.
You look at that offense with the Jets. You'd have Breece Hall, Lamar Jackson. You've got
Davis. You got Elijah Mitchell. You got like all these key people.
Yep, and they've got a young defense that's very strong, one of the best in the league.
Sauce Gardner.
Yep, Sauce. So yeah, it's a young team. I would be concerned if I were the Jets because, this attitude problem, there's reports of Lamar when he was injured, when the Ravens were in the brunt of their playoff push, he decided he wasn't going to come back, that he was going to put the contract before the team. I don't know if you want that in a young locker room, Mike.
No, but RG3 came out with a thing when that had happened. And RG3 was like, look what the fuck happened in my career. Because I thought I was going to be the guy that's going to play on the Slay injury, think I'm healed enough, 80, 90, whatever percent, come out and just ruined his entire career. And I was a big RG3 fan. You're not going to, if you think you're going to be worth this much and it showed that they can make it to the playoffs, Lamar Jackson put up great numbers, you're not going to do it. And like, the best win percentage of starting quarterbacks since the Super Bowl era, Lamar Jackson's 4th on that list at 45-16. He hasn't been in the league that long.
Yeah, but there's a problem with Lamar too, Mike. How many seasons has he thrown for over 3,000 yards?
0.
Once.
Was that 2 years ago?
I believe it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Threw for once, and ever since then, he's never thrown for over 2,800, I believe. Now, granted, he rushes a lot, but in a pass-happy league,
I'm glad you said that.
It's hard to sign a guy like that.
Because the people above him are Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, and Roger Staubach. Those are the people that are above him, which are all well over 3,000 passing yards, pocket passers, don't scramble too much, and then there's Lamar Jackson. I could see the Colts picking him up. I hope the Jets do, but, I mean, if the Jets are trying to go after Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to be cheap. I would rather take a young quarterback that can still perform to shape the Jets than 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers that needs to quit following Brett Favre's footsteps. But you're going to see that I don't think that would be a good fit.
Well, you're going to get Rodgers a lot cheaper than you're going to get Lamar. So
but I think the Colts are going to push harder.
Yeah, I could see Lamar to the Colts as well. Jim Irsay, he's shown that he'll do whatever it takes to get a quarterback. Now, granted, most of his quarterbacks have been bad. So,
you saying their mobility scooters ran out of battery?
Yeah, essentially, he does like drafting handicap people or signing handyback quarterbacks. So, yeah, Lamar might be perfect because his style of play is, he definitely leaves it all out there. I want to go to number 2, Mike. Number 2 at 9-2 odds. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is the most natural fit for Lamar. What are your thoughts? He's a Southern. I believe Lamar. He's a Southern guy.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady's not coming back, at least to Tampa Bay. I could see Lamar going down there and kind of have a similar deal as Brady, where he gets handed the keys to the kingdom, and Tampa Bay is willing to spend money to get the players that their quarterback wants.
Nope.
I could see them trying to do the same play with Lamar Jackson.
You're making me drink more juice, Kyle, because I got to disagree with you again there. They're not going to hand him the keys to the kingdom because they saw that Tom Brady was one of those guys that's like, you can pay me dimes, nickels, pennies, whatever, but I want this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy to come, and we're going to go win a Super Bowl. You're going to hand the guy like that the keys to the kingdom. Then you have Lamar Jackson come in here that's like, I need money, go fuck yourself. You're not going to give him that. So I don't see that working.
I could see it from a geography fit. You may be right, because Lamar is not willing to. He wants the bag where Tom Brady did not. So that's a good pull by you, Mike. Have you seen this list? Let me ask you this before we get to number 1. Have you seen this list?
I have not. I only saw the list of teams that did not want to touch him.
Okay. Number 1 on the list, 3-1 odds. You want to take a guess who they got at number 1, Mike? Quarterback needy team, allegedly. 3-1 odds for Lamar Jackson.
The Texans.
No. If you want more guess.
I could see that. But I don't know. Raiders?
Mike, it makes me physically ill to say this, but at 3-1 odds, they have the Lions.
Oh, yes.
Now, I do not condone this at all as a Lions fan.
I do.
Now, I can see the mindset. Lions have one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yes.
You've got we know Jared Goff. He's a statue, not the most mobile guy, especially compared to Lamar. I would take Jared's arm talent all day long. But if the mindset is, we can keep Lamar in the pocket. He's got time. He's got lots of options at receiver. And if it's not there, then he takes off and runs. I could see the Lions having that mindset. Like, you know what? This can be our guy. We've revitalized Jared Goff's career. Now we have the opportunity to essentially revitalize a younger, more mobile quarterback's career. I could see the Lions being in the mix for that. And they have a lot of draft capital. They've got a lot of cap space. It's not out of the realm of possibility that they could pay him. Now,
they could pay him.
Now the problem is they would just shoot themselves in the foot when it comes to addressing the other needs on the team. And that's why I'm not a fan of it, because now you're essentially, all of your free agency is going to be spent, all your free agency money is going to be spent signing Lamar. And then you're once again going to be inactive the rest of free agency, and you're just going to draft a bunch of people that will take time to develop. So,
bro, 4,400 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Jared Goff.
Yep.
Dan Campbell has literally been shaping this team as a pocket passing, play smart team. None of this crazy BS. If anybody saw Hard Knocks, if DeAndre Swift even thought about not running the route, he got crucified for it. They don't want a freelance, crazy, after 2 seconds, I need to start spinning around in circles, running from hash line to hash line, trying to figure out my next move. That's not how Dan Campbell coaches. They are still, the Lions need to stay where they're at. Jared Goff is, 29 years old.
Yeah, be 29 this season.
He's young. Look at what he's done since last year to this year.
He's cheap. He's cheap in the grand scheme of things.
Last year, 3,200 passing yards. Over 1,000 more passing yards. 19 passing touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Dude, no. Dumb. No. Not agreeing. Terrible idea. Park the brakes, Lions.
And I heard this on one of the local radio shows that maybe, the Lions weren't one of these teams that came out and said, we don't want Lamar. Could be just them playing the game, saying, hey, we'll get them thinking that we want a quarterback, and maybe we can get out of this number 6 pick, or either trade up, trade down, whatever. So, yeah, Mike, I'm with you. I don't think Lamar to the Lions is legitimate. I hope it's not legitimate. I think they've got a good thing going with Goff. And, yeah. All that being said, they're the betting favorites at 3-1 right now.
Can you see why I said the Texans, though, would need him?
Oh, yeah. There's a couple teams that need quarterbacks desperately. But I just think, again, I go like what I said before. I think that just shows you how little the league thinks of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and
there's drama there, too, because his agent is his mom.
Yes.
So there's not a lot of teams that are probably willing to sign up for that.
No, they don't want mama's boy coming to her, have a little
right.
Boo.
All right. So,
and
he's not getting the bag, Mike. I'll tell you that right now.
The Lions are going to get. I would cringe. You don't think he's getting the bag?
No.
Do you think there's a team that needs a quarterback bad enough that we'll see a lower end Deshaun Watson deal?
No. I think the money that Lamar was offered by the Ravens earlier in the year is the best that he's going to get.
Really?
I think that's the best offer that he's going to get.
So who do the Ravens get if they lose him?
Well, they could draft one. They've got some draft capital. They could roll out Huntley again. They
did do good.
Yeah, they've got, they showed that they could play decent football with Huntley. So, I don't know. I could see a year without Lamar Jackson playing football.
You just threw me off guard with that question. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance at all he plays under the franchise tag. And I think he will pull a Le'Veon Bell and be like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to play. We'll see how bad you want me. And you look, there's a lot of similarities that you can draw between Le'Veon and Lamar. Le'Veon was an explosive running back, and he put up awesome numbers the year prior. And teams just said, the money you want, no way. And he didn't want to come back to the Steelers. And he's like, you know what? I'll see myself out. I'll sit, somebody will pick me up. And I see Lamar headed that same course, and we all know how it played out for Le'Veon.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But the Post-Victory Formation podcast is definitely going to be covering this because this is a huge topic.
Yeah, now that we're on video, we can show a picture weekly of Lamar sitting on the bench if he shows up to games.
We'll let our editor, CJ, take care of that. But rolling away from quarterbacks slightly, top franchise tags. Yes, Lamar Jackson's in there, so we'll waive that. We've already done that one. Saquon, Evan Ingram on the Jaguars. I want to talk about that one. Josh Jacobs, Darren Payne, and Tony Pollard.
Daron Payne.
There's two big ones I want to talk about, and that is Evan Ingram and Tony Pollard. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, I mean, you heard my thoughts last week or 2 weeks ago, how I didn't think Tony Pollard was going to get another deal with Dallas. So they tagged him. Be real interested to see if he tries leveraging another deal. Because like I said, I think Jerry Jones is obsessed with Zeke. But
oh yeah, boyfriends.
It gives me pause now that they're franchising Tony Pollard. I think they realize Tony Pollard's a good running back, great running back. Yeah, this opens up the door. Maybe they let the Zeke thing play out, and they make Tony Pollard their guy after next season.
And Tony Pollard can't hate it because I think it's like $10.9 or $10.2 million he's getting as a running back.
Yeah, it's similar to what Saquon's getting, and that's good. It's good money for a running back. And then Evan Ingram, I'm not mad at the franchise tag because, it was a contract year for him this past year and he played well. You always kind of are leery of a quarterback, really any position on the field where a guy has a career year when it's a contract year. So I think Ingram, if he backs up his level of play again, a lot like the Geno Smith deal, only Geno's not under the tag. If Evan plays another solid season like he did this year, then they'll renegotiate and he'll be their tight end for years to come.
You see that though?
Well, his quarterback situation in Jacksonville is a lot better than it ever was with the Giants. So yeah, I don't see any reason why. He's bought in. Trevor Lawrence is a quarterback you can easily believe in. You had late years Eli Manning and you had early years Daniel Jones, both of which not good. So yeah, maybe it was just a quarterback that was needed to really wake him up. I mean, he's always been thought of as a decent tight end with a lot of potential. And I think he showed that last year. He had a career year in reception yardage, receptions, I believe touchdowns as well. So, yeah, I think he can keep that level of play going. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does say 8-9 games in a year next season that they announce that they signed a new deal with him going forward.
Yeah, and You hit the nail on the head there with the whole Evan Ingram thing with his quarterback situation. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is the answer yet, because to go from most interceptions.
No, stop. He had a clown as a head coach his rookie year with Urban Meyer. He gets an adult in the room with Peterson, and they immediately turn around and go to the playoffs, Mike.
You don't think it's okay to kick kickers?
You want to hear, this might be a hot take, Mike, but you know what? I'll take Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen.
What the fuck?
I'll take Trevor Lawrence over. I've seen it.
What are you talking about?
Josh Allen always flames out.
My Cubs.
Josh Allen. Let's look at the Bills last year. Let's look at the Jags last year. Jags are down by 24 in their wild card game, and come back and win against the Chargers.
This just makes me think the NFL's rigged. But I guess
Josh Allen would never do that with the Bills. He would be turning that ball over like it was a birthday party and he was handing out gifts.
Fuck. All right, we got to get off.
You'll have to see how this one. Mike, you keep tabs on that. You write it down. I'm telling you, I'll take Trevor Lawrence any day of the week over Josh Allen.
So, put the mortgage on that Trevor Lawrence has better stats than Josh Allen next year.
Yeah, do it.
Well, speaking of mortgages, is Derrick Henry getting rid of his mortgage here in Tennessee and moving somewhere else?
Yeah, announced this week that Titans were willing to shop him. Your comment about Ryan Tannehill staying really threw me off, because I figured Tannehill would be on the chopping block as well. Look, with Henry, he has been their workhorse for the past 5 seasons or so, Mike. It feels like forever, but he has been just pounding the rock year after year after year. And as I've said in previous episodes, running back is a consumable position in the NFL. And it can be two things, because I believe this coming season is the last year of the deal with the Titans.
It is.
I think the Titans are giving him the opportunity to seek greener pastures, because like I've said before, the Titans are entering a rebuild. I think they want to give Derek... Titans are a classy organization in my mind. They're a good organization. And I could see them be like, you know what, Derek? We know by the time this rebuild's done, your career's probably going to be over. Go get that deal. Go get the Christian McCaffrey, go into a playoff contender, go into a Super Bowl contender deal. And I think that's all that is, Mike. I think Derek will not go to a team that's not a Super Bowl caliber team that's, looking to bolster their roster with another running back.
Can I throw a hot take?
Yeah, sure.
All right. This is where our editor's going to cue the whatever sound here. Derek Carr to the Broncos.
Derek Carr is not going.
Or not Derek.
I'm sorry.
Derek Henry to the Broncos. Running back, gonna back up Russell Wilson right there. Be a great guy to hand it off to. Sean Payton, quarterback, for finishing out the rebuild. Jerry Jeudy's coming back. Good wide receiver core is gonna be set up. He's gonna be the guy that they're gonna want. I see a good fit there.
I don't see him. You know where I think he's going, and you're not going to like it?
Not the Lions.
It's not the Lions. I don't want him. He's going to stay in the AFC. How about the Chiefs? Don't you just see Derrick Henry as a Chief?
I see.
1-2. Him and Pacheco.
Who did you call out the other day that just threw me for a loop? You guessed the Cardinals. 2 days later, the card came out.
Well, I had speculated that Carson Wentz ends up at the Cardinals. I know that threw you for a loop.
And that came out 2 days later. I sent it to you. Reports came out.
Cardinals, that he was one of the favorites.
I can see it.
You can see.
But what happens to Edwards-Helaire?
I think Edwards-Hilaire's been dead. I think they waive him, honestly.
Really?
I don't know what they're... Is he still in his rookie deal?
Yes.
Yeah, I could see him
next year.
Yep, I could just see him getting waived.
Huh. Well, that's another tune in, folks, to come back on that, because, well, I thought I had a hot take, and then here you go, fucking burning me.
Well, I'd like to think I know a little something about football after so many years of viewership and watching the sport change. Yeah, exactly. The Lions are finally a real NFL organization now in my mind, and I'm really excited for this upcoming season. But just, as a Lions fan, all Lions fans know you got to have a backup team. So you watch these other games with higher caliber teams, and you just learn to appreciate it and, learn the sport. And now you've got to a point where I feel like the Lions are one of those teams. So yeah, we'll see how that take ages. And, I know I'm right. So whatever, Mike.
It's going to be interesting. I'm just waiting for a report to come out on, my boy number 12 to see what happens. But a lot of these topics we brought up are going to be carried on into future episodes as we see what happens. I have a feeling that this off season is going to be extremely hot. People are going to be curious. There's going to be a lot going on.
You want to, one last thing before we sign off, you want to just talk, there's a couple reports from just everywhere this week, a couple wide receivers being shopped around by their teams, one being flat out released. I want to get your thoughts on them, and if you'd like them on your team, or if they end up, not being in the league or signing for a minimum cash deal. So, the first one is DeAndre Hopkins.
No, of course, I mean,
Arizona shopping him. Arizona wants a second rounder and a conditional pick. Do you think they get it?
Oh, bro, if I'm the Packers and they hold down Aaron Rodgers, oh yeah.
Done. You would take that despite, he's had problems with attitude and, not exactly a locker room guy. You would trade a second rounder and a conditional pick for him?
We have Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Hasn't been a locker room guy for the last 2 years, but here we are.
Fair. You know what? Fair enough. Let's just keep this locker room. It's been cancerous. Let's make it stage 4 terminal cancer.
Yeah, it's the next one.
D-hop.
Yep.
All right. McCole Hardman, Kansas City's letting him walk.
Yep. I do the same.
Yep.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling came in, almost did the same thing. He's got the speed. A little bit faster. Hardman did his thing like 2 years ago. He has a
still injury prone.
Yeah, injury prone. Letting him walk. Team's gonna pick him up. 2 year, $8 million, $10 million. He's gonna sign like a Randall Cobb deal that he did when he was coming back. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. I think he'll go to a team, a rebuilding team. I don't think he goes to a contender. I don't think any of the contenders want him.
Yep.
So yeah, he'll be on a Cardinals, Texans, Rams of the world.
Yeah.
So, next one, we touched on him earlier, your boy Allen Lazard. And reports are that both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens are interested in Allen Lazard's services.
Kansas will take him if they do drop him. They saw what Marquez Valdez-Scantling will do. With Andy Reid at the helm, they'll be able to coach him, make him, a little bit better a wide receiver, not just a big blocking back. And yeah, they'll turn him in. Baltimore Ravens, they don't have a leg to stand on right now. They got too much drama going on in middle school with Lamar Jackson.
I know that I shouldn't like him, but I do like Lazard, and I'd like to see him play with Mahomes as quarterback. I think he could really take that next step and be a household name at wide receiver. Last one, Cortland Sutton out of Denver. He is not being re-signed. He will be a free agent.
Injury prone.
Yep. That is a pretty heavy wide receiving core that's in Denver. And yeah, Sutton just kind of feels like the odd guy out.
He's looking at another minimal deal.
Yeah.
Contender.
Yeah, he'll be on like a McCole Hardman deal, you think? Or do you think?
Yeah, I could see him.
Contender goes to pick him up.
I could see him maybe going to Jacksonville to assist there.
That'd be a nice pickup. But I could agree with that.
Other than that, not really going to a contender.
He's got a lot of speed. Again, his quarterback situation has not been great in Denver. So, yeah, it could be like an Evan Ingram situation where he's just kind of fumbled around with, subpar quarterbacks the first part of his career, and then goes to Jacksonville with a real quarterback and turns things around. I like Cortland Sutton to the Jags. That's a good pull.
So I'm here for it, dog. Now,
yeah, those are a couple of the big names.
I got one for you.
Okay.
The Chosen One. Or I'm sorry, his name's Chosen One. For those that don't know what we're talking.
Oh, yeah, Robbie Anderson.
That's Robbie Anderson is no longer headed back.
Yep.
He's looking for a new team. Does somebody choose the Chosen One? Because that's his new legal name now. Are they taking him?
Yeah, the CFL chooses him.
Yeah, maybe the XFL.
He gets traded mid-year to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals think so little of him to bring him back.
Yeah, and I think Josh Gordon's a better bet than him. But following that,
I'd probably take Josh Gordon over Robbie.
That's what I'm saying. A little smoke, a little, carry on, do good. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So we're going to be following all this. I think next week's going to be just as exciting as this week's podcast. I'm willing to bet.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some talk of teams. Chicago is openly shopping their first round pick or their number 1 overall pick. And Cardinals sound like they're shopping their third overall pick. So yeah, we're going to have draft talk coming up here pretty soon. And of course, there's going to be more movers and shakers, and we'll be here for it. So for Mike and myself, thanks for watching the Post Victory Formation podcast. Make sure to like us on all our socials, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank y'all.